What were they up there, 10 minutes?
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah. What were her findings? That's my question.
Well,
what did
she
she learn?
Daisy, which is super important. It shows you how quick the flight was. The dead daisy that's like snipped from its life source was still alive.
So they go up there and they float for like 10 minutes?
At least.
And then they come down.
Let's not minimize this.
No,
let's hear Katy Perry talk about it.
Right.
Now you are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love.
It's funny to hear the richest guy in the world's wife go, "We're all in it together."
We're all in this together.
It feels like you hand-selected a couple of friends to go do this.
Right there.
Okay.
Katy!
Did you see those girls land today? Blue Origin, Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos' wife. How'd they land? In the ocean? Let me see. Very soft landing. Look at this. Imagine from space, and the only thing we got to land you is a parachute. Like one of the oldest technologies.
Hear them screaming.
Isn't it funny that they screamed? Do you think the men would scream? It was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah. Now, so they go up there and they float for like 10 minutes?
At least.
And then they come down.
Let's not minimize this.
No, I know. It's a big deal.
Let's celebrate female astronauts.
And because they were united.
Because a lot of men astronauts, they have to go to school.
Right.
They have to learn how to be a pilot first. Then they have to join the Air Force or the Navy. And then they get appointed by NASA.
That's right.
And then they go to space.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts.
Let's not minimize this. Let's not minimize this.
Tim Dillon went on a hilarious rant about the women that went to space during episode 440 of his podcast.
This isn't one of these things where we're like, women have gone to space. Real space. Bitches have been in space. Bitches have died in space. Real women astronauts have gone to space. Wasn't a bitch in a space station who just got back. She was stuck up there for months and months. This bitch was in space 6 minutes. And she's acting like she's the first slit to go to space. You are not the first slit in space. Slits have been going to space. I don't get it. It's the craziest thing in the world. Women have been in space. They've been in space. This person is acting like it's a big deal because she's famous. That's her whole thing. She's like, no, you don't understand. I have a life worth losing, and I went. That's her whole point here.
In recent news, a high-profile space flight has made headlines across the globe. But what if I told you that this wasn't a major leap for science, but rather the latest publicity stunt in the rapidly expanding world of billionaire-funded space tourism? You're probably familiar with the names involved: Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez, celebrities who recently boarded a Blue Origin spacecraft for a 10-minute flight into space. While this might seem like a groundbreaking moment in the history of space travel, it was far from it. Instead of focusing on actual exploration or advancing humanity's understanding of space, the event quickly became a spectacle filled with self-congratulatory selfies, luxury suits, and celebrity egos in orbit. In a world where real astronauts work tirelessly to advance scientific discoveries, it raises the question: are we witnessing the future of space travel or just another hollow PR stunt? Let's take a deeper look at this so-called historic space mission.
So Katy Perry went to space today. I guess this is what's news now. She went with an all-female Blue Origin crew, which is the space company that was started by Jeff Bezos. They took off at 8:30 a.m. this morning for their short flight that lasted just 10 minutes and reached an official altitude of 346,802 feet. The booster came back down and landed by itself, similar to how the SpaceX one does it. And a short time later, the capsule carrying the crew came down as well, this time using parachutes and landing in the desert instead of water, contrary to how we usually see it. Upon landing, you could hear the crew screaming.
Perception, there it is.
And soon after, Jeff Bezos opened the capsule and the women emerged, Katy Perry holding a flower and kissing the ground. What do you all think about celebrities in space?
When the Blue Origin rocket took off with its celebrity passengers, it was touted as a groundbreaking achievement. The mission was framed as a significant step for women in space, as it was the first all-female crew to reach the stars. But despite the sensational marketing, the reality was far less impressive. The entire trip lasted just 10 minutes, a brief joyride that barely scratched the surface of what it means to explore space. While the mission was celebrated by some, others were quick to criticize it as an expensive PR stunt. The question on many minds, how can a trip that lasts less time than an average roller coaster ride be considered groundbreaking? The reactions ranged from incredulity to outright ridicule, with many pointing out the absurdity of calling this a milestone. While it may have been emotional for the participants, there's a growing sentiment that the whole spectacle was more about marketing and social media buzz than about pushing the boundaries of human exploration. Some critics even went so far as to label it a vanity project for the ultra-wealthy.
This is what bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. Space is not an either or, it's a both and because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner. I mean, Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, there was nothing frivolous about what we did. So, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this, what it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say, wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not me.
Now let's talk about the stars who boarded the Blue Origin spacecraft. Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez. While each of these women is undeniably successful in her own right, the fact that they were chosen to participate in this flight raises some serious questions. Were they selected because of their expertise in space science or their personal accomplishments? Hardly. It's clear that their fame and social media reach were major factors in their inclusion. This isn't to say these women haven't done incredible things in their respective fields, but calling them astronauts just because they could afford a seat on a billionaire's spaceship is, at best, misleading. Instead of celebrating their achievements, the focus seemed to shift to their luxury spacesuits, their selfies, and the very public celebration of their wealth and status. The idea that these celebrities were helping to advance space travel seems a little far-fetched when compared to the rigorous training and real work done by actual astronauts. While these women may have taken a literal leap into space, it was more about their public personas than any real contribution to space exploration.
In today's episode of I'm Rich Or Poor, look, rich ladies in space.
Today's episode of Rich People Doing Things Nobody Asked For, 6 women launched into space for a lifetime of bragging rights.
For the first time in over 60 years, an all-female crew embarked on a journey into space. But instead of being celebrated, the trip was widely criticized as tone-deaf and out of touch with reality.
People are dying. People are dying, Kim. We don't need to put more people in space.
The 6-member crew included film producer Carrie-Anne Flynn, CBS host Gayle King, former NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, scientist Amanda Wynn, pop star Katy Perry, and actor Lauren Sanchez. On April 14, the woman traveled to the edge of space and back in 11 minutes, aboard a rocket built by Blue Origin, the space company founded by Amazon billionaire Bezos.
Look at the state of the world and think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what?
After returning to Earth, the crew defended the flight amid backlash. King told reporters, anybody that's criticizing it doesn't really understand what is happening here, while Perry said,
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
The backlash to this celebrity space mission was swift and unrelenting. While some celebrated the event, many others, both within and outside of the entertainment industry, quickly called it out for what it was, a publicity stunt. Even fellow celebrities weren't shy about poking fun at the whole ordeal. Olivia Wilde shared a mocking image of Katy Perry kissing the ground after landing, while Amy Schumer humorously jumped into the conversation, joking about being added to the crew at the last minute. Meanwhile, Martha Stewart couldn't resist throwing a jab jab at the absurdity of the whole thing, sharing a throwback video of herself experiencing zero gravity in a more grounded yet still extravagant manner. The internet also had a field day, with critics taking to social media to point out the sheer narcissism of the mission. It quickly became clear that not everyone was on board with the idea that this was an inspiring or world-changing event. In fact, many saw it as little more than a vanity project for the ultra-wealthy, highlighting the growing divide between the rich and the rest of the world. If anything, the backlash only served to amplify the perception that this mission was more about self-promotion than about space exploration.
Oh yeah, mama. I see your tight little ass in space. Are you trying to tell me that 6 bitches went in space this morning? Fuck yeah! Roar! Lady Gaga just headlined Coachella, and now there's 6 bitches in space? This is gonna be an amazing fucking week for women. We love you, Gayle King. Go off. I'm sure Oprah's nearby. Maybe space is one of Oprah's favorite things. Hold on. Jeff Bezos' girlfriend also went in space? Wait a second. She's a children's author, and her book is really good. Maybe I can buy it off of Amazon! Katy Perry? Yes, bitch. Let us know what the next album is. I'm sure it's gonna be about space. Fuck yeah! I want more of this!
So, what's the real message behind this spaceflight? Is it truly empowering to women and young girls around the world? Or is it just another example of the elite using space to boost their own profiles? The concept of empowerment was one of the key messages promoted by the astronauts themselves. According to Gayle King, this flight was about showing young girls that they too could one day reach for the stars. However, the reality is that this mission wasn't about breaking barriers for women. It was about giving wealthy, well-connected celebrities the opportunity to embark on a luxury adventure. While King and others preached the idea of inspiring future generations, many critics couldn't help but point out the irony of an empowerment message coming from women who were able to participate only because they were friends with Jeff Bezos and could afford the hefty price tag for a ticket to space. Empowerment through wealth and privilege isn't the same as empowerment through hard work, sacrifice, and achievement. When space tourism becomes just another playground for the rich, the message of empowerment rings hollow.
You know, when they fire up those engines, you can do simulation after simulation, but once those engines roar and you do the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it really does lift off, it's a whole different experience.
What about the drop down?
That was the hardest part for me because you had 5 Gs, and at one point I got really lightheaded. I was actually worried that I was going to pass out. It didn't last very long, and all I could think of was, God, please don't let me be the one they carry out on a stretcher. Please, Jesus, don't do that to me at this moment. But it was all good. It was all good. I felt very safe. I know there's inherent danger there. I get it. But I felt so protected.
Gayle King's defense of the mission centered around the idea that it was a journey rather than a ride, a sentiment she was vocal about on social media. According to King, calling it a ride was belittling, as it implied that the mission wasn't serious or significant. However, when you break it down, the entire experience seemed more like a luxury vacation than a scientific or exploratory mission. The so-called journey didn't involve any of the rigorous training or groundbreaking discoveries that true astronauts undergo. Instead, it was a quick trip to space, a few minutes of weightlessness, and some photos taken for Instagram. For those on the outside looking in, the idea that this experience would inspire millions of women and young girls felt like a stretch. If the goal was to show young girls that anything is possible, shouldn't the focus be on achievements that actually involve skill, hard work, and sacrifice, rather than simply paying for a spot on a billionaire's rocket?
No wonder Jeff Bezos insisted on opening the Blue Origin rocket himself. The reason behind it is downright chilling. After the rocket landed, Jeff grabbed what looked like a wrench and went straight to open the hatch. Before he could even apply much force, the door popped open like a piece of cardboard, way easier than opening an airplane door. When Jeff's fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, stepped out, she didn't seem affected at all by any drastic change in air pressure. Plus, their spacesuits were so thin and form-fitting, they looked more like props from a reality show. The most interesting part is that Jeff deliberately used his relationship with Lauren as a publicity stunt for this mission. Lauren even told the media, "If Jeff truly wants to marry me, he'll send me to space." Apparently, diamonds and luxury cruises just aren't enough to prove Jeff's love anymore. So when the rocket landed, Jeff made a big show of his love. He even stumbled in the desert in his rush to personally open the door for Lauren. These remarkable women ended up being great PR for Jeff. Now, plenty of women are dreaming of being sent to space too. Before this, a lot of wealthy folks had already lost interest in commercial space travel.
No discussion of this flight would be complete without acknowledging Jeff Bezos, the billionaire behind Blue Origin. Bezos' involvement has become a key part of the story, and it speaks volumes about the direction in which space tourism is heading. Rather than being a mission for scientific discovery or human advancement, this space flight was essentially a luxury ride for the wealthy, designed to further cement Bezos' brand as a visionary in the space race. However, the truth is that this isn't about exploring the final frontier. It's about branding, publicity, and creating an experience that caters to billionaires bored with Earth. In the future, will space exploration be something that everyone can participate in, or will it remain a playground for the ultra-wealthy? Bezos, Richard Branson, and Elon Musk are positioning themselves as the pioneers of the new space age, but their ventures aren't focused on advancing human knowledge. They're about creating exclusive luxury experiences for those who can afford it. Meanwhile, actual space missions that push the boundaries of human knowledge continue to take a back seat to these high-profile, ego-boosting adventures.
Got it? 1, 2, 3, take up space! Woo! Tamir's in space!
Let's take a moment to compare these celebrities to real astronauts. Actual astronauts undergo years of intense training, risk their lives in the pursuit of scientific discovery, and work tirelessly to expand humanity's understanding of space. These individuals are experts in their field, with deep knowledge of the systems they operate and the experiments they conduct. By contrast, these celebrity space tourists didn't do any of that. They weren't responsible for operating the spacecraft or conducting any scientific research. They were simply along for the ride, with their only job being to enjoy the experience and take some selfies along the way. The public's frustration lies in the fact that these so-called astronauts are getting the same level of recognition as the pioneers who've dedicated their lives to exploring space. If space travel becomes the exclusive domain of the wealthy and famous, will the true spirit of exploration be lost in favor of publicity stunts? As we look back on this so-called historic spaceflight, it's clear that space tourism is rapidly evolving, but perhaps not in the way we hoped. Instead of a new era of exploration, we're witnessing the rise of billionaire-funded joyrides into space. While Jeff Bezos and his peers position themselves as pioneers of the new space race, their ventures feel more like a luxury playground for the ultra-wealthy than a meaningful advancement in human exploration. The Blue Origin mission with Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez may have been billed as an empowering moment for women, but when you dig deeper, it becomes clear that it's more about celebrity branding than about breaking barriers. Real astronauts continue to do the hard work that pushes humanity forward, while the rest of us watch from the sidelines as celebrities take their turn in space for the thrill of it. As space tourism continues to grow, one has to wonder, will this be a tool for advancement or just another way for the rich to flaunt their wealth?